New facts are emerging out of the Texas elementary school where that awful shooting took place this week. And these new facts somehow make the whole thing even more horrible because they suggest that the horror might have been prevented. We're talking about simple facts here. The doors to the school were unlocked. The killer entered through an unmonitored door in the back. There was no armed guard on duty anywhere on the school premises. Had even just those circumstances been different, of course, it's no guarantee that the shooter would have been stopped or that the death toll would have been lower, but it certainly would have reduced the likelihood that the shooter could have done what he did. And it's precisely these sorts of facts that activists in the media are trying to deny.
I say this tonight with the hope, not with an expectation, but with the hope that people like Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott and John Cornyn, people who were elected by Texans, will actually listen to it. Instead of going right to gun control laws don't work and we need armed teachers and guards at schools. If your solution to children being massacred is armed guards, you haven't been paying attention to what's going on. There was an armed guard in Buffalo. There was an armed guard in Parkland. There was an armed guard in Uvalde. They had armed guards.
So what Jimmy Kimmel just said is not true. It's not true with regard to this shooting that we just saw in Texas. I'm not even saying he's lying. He probably just doesn't know. But that falsehood, and for some people that lie, is essential to the agenda. And the agenda here is not so much about improving the safety of schools as it is about enacting the mostly unrelated gun control laws that liberals have wanted for decades. All the very same laws that, as even the Washington Post admits, wouldn't have stopped the mass shootings. There are lots of gun laws that Democrats want and that Republicans and voters more broadly, actually, will never let them pass. For sure, there are. There are plenty of gun laws that Republicans want that Democrats won't let them pass. That's true too. But then there are really basic laws that theoretically could be passed that would go a long way toward protecting schools, funding armed guards, upgrading school buildings to better secure the doors. These are not particularly ideological reforms. These are not an opportunity to score big partisan points. These are just basic safety precautions to protect schools, which is why we are almost certainly not going to get them. Not everything has to be an extreme partisan fight. Practically speaking, I guess it does these days, but it shouldn't have to be a big partisan fight. There are some really basic things about society that we can all agree on. I would hope, at least that until very recently, we could all agree on. A leftist would not want to use this tumbler to drink delicious tears or sparkling water or whatever you're drinking, right? They wouldn't want to use this tumbler because it says leftist tears. Just like I wouldn't want to use a tumbler that says conservative tears. But at the very least, we should both be able to agree that you should drink sparkling water out of a cup rather than out of, I don't know, a kazoo. Right? There are basic facts about reality that we should all be able to agree on that don't necessarily need to have a Republican color or a Democrat color or a left or right, or not everything has to be about ideology. The reason it feels like it does is because the left's political program is about upending society. The left's political program is essentially revolutionary. That's been true not just for the past 20 years, it's been true going back to the French Revolution. It's been true further back than that. That we've got to remake the whole world anew. And all of the inherited wisdom of the past, it's not wisdom, it's all. It's terrible, it's awful, it's bigoted, it's making us all miserable. We got to get rid of it. But there is a lot of wisdom in the past. We actually have learned things over the history of humanity, really basic things. Doesn't necessarily need to be about rights and entitlement and high-minded philosophy. It can just be, hey, lock the doors. Hey, lock the doors when you want to stay safe. Hey, have single points of entry. Hey, have people whose job it is to protect other people when they're a soft target. Really, really simple stuff. There was an interview in Chicago, took place yesterday or the day before. This was conducted by a Fox affiliate in Chicago. So not Fox News, the center-right news channel, but just a regular old network affiliate. They're conducting the interview on the street about guns in Chicago. During the interview, some dude comes out and brandishes a pistol at the cameraman.
Around 7 o'clock this morning at the corner of Clark and Hubbard, while our reporter was in the middle of a live report about gun violence in Chicago, a man walked up and pointed what appeared to be a firearm at our crew. Right now, police are calling this man a person of interest, accused of aggravated assault with a firearm.
This guy who brandished the gun on the street at the reporter, he doesn't look like he's been living on the street for the past 2 years. He doesn't look like necessarily some schizophrenic, drug-addicted derelict roaming the streets. He's fairly well-dressed. He seems fairly clean. He doesn't seem sane in that no sane person should be brandishing a weapon on the street. But really, he just seems, he seems bold. He seems like he knows there aren't going to be any consequences for this kind of behavior. And why? Because there won't be. Because throughout many of our major cities, run by leftists, people are not arrested for crimes. Because for the past 2 years, the left has run on defunding the police and abolishing police departments and installing far-left DAs that just won't prosecute people for crime. And then during COVID, they emptied out the jails. And they just say, they're sending a message to the criminals, hey, do whatever you want, we're not going to stop you. So is it any wonder that people like this are emboldened in Chicago? Do you know what would stop this kind of behavior? It doesn't need to be some pie-in-the-sky, really extremely sophisticated ideological thing. Arrest the criminals. Arrest him. That dude should be nabbed immediately. He should go to jail for a long time. He should be punished, not just a little plea deal slap on the hand. Well, society failed him. Well, he had a tough upbringing. And let's just divert him into a nice special nonprofit program where, no, punish him. He's a bad guy. And if you don't want him to remain a bad guy, if you want him to become a better guy, then punish him. Enforce basic laws. Is that so much to ask? These days, I guess it is. Because none of the people now who are clamoring, do something, do something, do something, none of them seem to care at all about fixing the problems that they're claiming to want to fix. They're all just pushing the same old ideological agenda that they were pushing 10 months ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Joe Biden now has gone off and made this entire effort, which should be about protecting schools, into an effort to ban AR-15s.
No one needs an AR-15, something designed for no other purpose, none, other than to kill human beings. There's no other rationale for its existence, and to kill them as quickly and as brutally as possible.
It's not exactly true because you can kill squirrels with an AR-15, or you could, I think you could even kill deer, though it wouldn't be particularly humane. But it's also, AR-15s are not the quickest way to kill people because they're not, contrary to what the left would have you believe, they're not fully automatic weapons. They're not assault rifles. Right? A fully automatic weapon, you pull the trigger and a spray of bullets comes out. A semi-automatic weapon, you pull the trigger, one bullet comes out, you pull the trigger again, another bullet comes out. So what he's saying technically is not true. But to his broader point, he says, these guns kill people. And he's implying that that's a bad thing for guns to do. That is the purpose of guns. That is the purpose of the Second Amendment. That is the purpose of the right to self-defense, is that if someone comes to attack you, you have the right to defend yourself. That's what they're for. People are not buying these guns to go hunt squirrels. And he's insinuating that this is a bad thing. What is his solution? What is his solution? If he's saying that the problem with the AR-15 is they're designed to kill people, then that means we have to get rid of all the guns. Or not just the AR-15s, handguns are designed to kill people. In fact, handguns are much more directly designed to kill people than any of the rifles are, or any of the shotguns are. So then you have to get rid of all the guns. Are you going to do that, Joe Biden? No, you'd have to repeal the Second Amendment. Are you going to do that? No, you can't do that. And most people don't want you to do that. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pass laws in contravention of the Second Amendment? Are you going to try to change the interpretation of the Second Amendment? You're going to just confiscate all the guns without repealing the Second Amendment? There are more guns than people in America. So what is the practical effect of what he's proposing? Nothing. Philosophically, it's incoherent. Constitutionally, it's incoherent. Legally, it's incoherent. But even put all that aside, those are the ideological debates and the philosophy. Just practically, it's not going to happen. It's completely fantastical. So then what does he do? He's not doing anything. He's running his mouth and he's trying to score cheap campaign points. But in practice, he is accomplishing absolutely nothing productive. So glad you liked that clip. Now, bing, bang, boom. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, do whatever you got to do. Subscribe to The Michael Knowles Show on YouTube and everywhere else. We'll see you next time.